Good evening to all the honorable judges. My name is Jason Somo. I'm a grade 11 student from Myanmar. During the past few months, I've been developing a project called AegisFlood. So today I'll be talking about my project, so please sit back, relax, and enjoy my presentation. So please take a look at this picture. Isn't it peaceful? Well, imagine you live in this kind of tropical remote village. But the thing is, you have no access to the internet. And suddenly, the heavy rain starts falling. And the only warning you have of this sudden, devastating flood like this is the sound of the rushing water itself. You have no idea when the water will completely consume your village. You may be sleeping. Now, here are some major floods that took place in Myanmar. In August 2019, there was the rise of the river in the Irrawaddy, leading to severe flooding in coastal areas. And in May 2023, tropical cyclone Mocha from North Indian Ocean affected Myanmar, leading to landslides and severe floodings in certain areas. And also in September 2024, Typhoon Yagi affected Myanmar, leaving about more than 600 fatalities and more than 1 million damage. So to change this reality, today we are introducing AegisFlood. So what is AegisFlood? For your information, Aegis is derived from Greek word, meaning protection or shield against something. So AegisFlood would basically mean that protection against flood. It is an off-grid, sensor-based early warning system without reliance on the internet that is designed to protect vulnerable rural population, especially in tropical countries, by immediately alerting villagers to sudden flooding as water activates outlet sensors. In our system, the sensors will be placed 8 kilometers apart, and once the water level has risen, the very first sensor will detect the water level, and it will send a signal to the next sensor. And just like that, the signal will be carried on until it reaches the central village alone. To ensure sustainable off-grid and autonomy energy, each of our sensors will be powered by individual small-scale solar panels. And to enhance community safety, we can extend warning time significantly by adding extra sensors. Now, we should consider this together for a while. This system is really simple for most of us because when we see the red light, we know it's an emergency. Or when we hear the warning sound, we know we should run. But for people with special needs, this system is not as simple as it seems. So for those people, we have come up with 2 solutions. The first solution is indoor alarms. So we can install indoor alarms in each of the individual houses, so when the water level has risen, they can be anywhere inside the house and they will be alerted. And you might ask me, what about for people who are both deaf and blind? Well, for those people, they should be accompanied by the guardians. So if the guardians is alerted, then they can also be saved. And now, I would like to demonstrate the total evacuation time. And I will divide this into 2 sections. The first one is when the water travels at a low speed, and the next one is at a high speed. So according to Myanmar Meteorological website, it says that floodwaters and steep terrains can travel at about 15 to 30 kilometers per hour. So the first scenario is when the water travels at a speed of 15 kilometers per hour. So in order for us to have a total evacuation time of 2 hours, the water would need to travel 30 kilometers. So in this case, we may need to install 4 nodes because our nodes will be placed 8 kilometers apart. And the next scenario is when the water travels at a speed of 30 kilometers per hour. So in this case, we may need 8 nodes. So let's imagine that the water has reached node 1, and it will relay a signal to node 2. Node 2 receives the signal, and it will again relay a signal to node 3. And just like that, within a few minutes, the central village alarm will be triggered. And again, for those people with special needs, the sensors will be, the signal will be relayed to each of their indoor alarms. To study ground condition and to promote our AegisFlood, I went on a field trip to northern Yangon. And I reached out to community leaders and also the flood relief team in northern Yangon. So right now, I would like to demonstrate this system briefly. Suppose that the water level has risen. And just like that, the alarm will go off and it will relay a signal to the next node. Here is the development part of AegisFlood. For the main development, we use Nano. And for the sensors, we use the most suitable ultrasonic sensor. Their key advantage is reliability. They perform consistently throughout day and night, and they provide accurate water level measurements regardless of water clarity. And to connect this network, we use the lower access 1278433 MHz module. The long range capability and low power consumption is perfect for open space. This is the development period of AegisFlood. These small ones are the indoor sensors, and this is the normal node. In this section, I would like to emphasize on the total cost per node. So the total cost for each node is around $38, which is 130,700 Myanmar jets. So it's quite fairly reasonable, right? Isn't it? So our targeted users are those who live in villages. Their GDP is really low. So in order for them to purchase this system by their own budget, I think this price is fairly reasonable to save millions of lives. So whenever we set up an alarm system, we should consider the false alarms. So in this presentation, I would like to separate the two scenarios about false alarms. The very first one is something like an object, like a bird, just flies past the sensor. To solve this scenario, we have come up with count setting in our code. So for smooth presentation, I actually put a count of greater than 1. So if the object stays entering the sensor for more than count 1, then the alarm will go off. But I would suggest to put more than 2 to 3 counts in real life situation to ensure the system accuracy. The next scenario is an animal, let's say a dog is sleeping entering the system, entering the sensor. So in this situation, we're planning to put 2 nodes in one location a few meters apart. So it is unlikely for 2 nodes to detect the same object at the same time. So even if one node detects the object, the other might not. So then the alarm will go off. So we're planning to connect these 2 nodes with an logic gate. So as I mentioned before, the system of AegisFlood is designed specifically to work without reliance on the internet. But what about for people who live in more developed regions that have access to the internet if they want to use this system with more features? Well, we have more plans for the future is to add more notification items. The first one is SMS alert. So they don't have to be near the central village alone to be alerted. They can be anywhere in the area and they will be alerted through the SMS. Another one is map display. They can check the real-time dashboard with water level measurements, but of course, these features are dependent on the internet and mobile network. So that was AegisFlood. It is not something complicated, but a very simple one-sensor system, but to make big changes for our lives. So as we know right now, there have been floods in tropical countries like Sri Lanka, Thailand, Malaysia, and even our country, Myanmar. So for tropical countries like ours, floods are a major problem that we have to face almost every year. So instead of praying for it not to happen, instead of sending rescue just at the moment it had already happened, we should do something to prepare, at least to reduce the fatalities. That is why within my own reach as a senior student, I wanted to make AegisFlood happen. And with that, AegisFlood, the next generation of flood defense is ready. Thank you so much, ကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်